Havenites, it is Thursday night, and that means it's time for some shop talk. So stick around after we play this awesome little intro. Hey everybody, what's the haps? What's going on? I hope you have read some comics because we are here to talk about some comics, and there's some really great ones to talk about. So since we got people here who like to jibber jabber, I'll go ahead and introduce the head of the jibber jabbers. What's up?
Fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe there. G.I. Joe is there. It's G.I. Joe against Cobra and Destro fighting to
What's
save
your go-to
the day.
Destro? There you go.
He's always there, fighting for freedom over land and air. G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe there.
G.I. Joe is the code name for America's daring, highly trained Special Mission Force.
The dancing didn't really work with the background because every time you moved, bits of you just disappeared.
Yeah, this background is really getting on my nerves because I can see where it's kind of messed up. And my dumb self is over here pointing out with my cursor where it's messed up at, like you can see it or something.
It's funny. It's anybody who's been on a Teams meeting knows how that background feature works. And we're used to it, but no, that's a pretty sweet background, I have to say.
Yeah, I need to get me green screen. What up, Blue?
Straight out of Nebraska. What's up? What's happening, man? Hope all is well out there in the Cornhusker State.
I had forgotten that I had loaded some backgrounds in the past.
Yeah. You gonna try a different one?
Yeah, but I mean it's gonna look just as bad.
Well, yeah, it's that's corny. Oh, Tots. What's happening, brother? How you doing? That kind of looks like you got hair. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Look, the world is not ready for me to have hair again. I'm just too hot when I have hair.
It looks like you've got hair, not just hair, but it looks like you have the hair that Mr. Glass had in, well, what was that Bruce Willis movie?
Well, maybe I can duck down. Let me see if I can get this just right. And now I've
got up just a little bit more. There you go, perfect.
She-Hulk's hair. Mm-hmm.
Looking good. Looking good.
All right, that's it. It's a done deal. I'm getting a green screen.
Yep, I think you should.
Yep, I'm getting a green screen. I had read somewhere that literally you don't even have to get a green screen. You can actually hang up like a green bed sheet or something, or a green blanket behind you.
That's true.
Yes, sir. Well, we got some comic books to talk about this week.
We do, but before we get into that, I got something I've been wanting to show you for 2 weeks and haven't been able to.
Oh, let me see.
All right. You ready? You ready for this?
I think so. I'm going to try to be.
You're going to be very jealous because this is super cool. You remember we had Jamie Sullivan on a couple months back?
Yep.
Well, I commissioned him to do something. I didn't say what. I just said, do what you want to do. And so he sent me this.
Oh, that is awesome.
Look at that.
You know what? Sometimes, actually, a lot of the times, the best commission is the one where you tell the artist, hey, I just want something with this theming from this genre. Other than that, you do your thing.
But that's just gorgeous right there.
It really
I love the green on the eyes, too.
The green on the eyes actually, I think, makes the green halo stick out more.
Yeah, it does. It does. But yeah, that's just awesome is what that is.
That is awesome.
It made me very happy. So I wanted to show you that. I've been wanting to show you that for a couple of weeks.
Oh, if any of y'all have not had a chance to watch our time with David Pepos last week, go back and watch that. That was a really fun episode. We talked about so many characters in comic books in 2 hours. I
I
can't
felt
believe.
like we were just constantly kissing his butt, uh, but I kind of couldn't help it because I love what he does with characters and the way he writes them.
Yes. And I mean, I kind of felt the same way, but at the same time, it's like you said, this guy literally come out of nowhere. And I don't think there's too many people out there right now that can do character development as fast as he can.
Yeah, he does it quick. And I mean, he did it on the show. That was the cool part, right? He was just explaining something about this, and I was like, "Oh my lord, that's you just made that a character I'm interested in reading."
Yep. So I would not, honestly, and I know it would be expensive. Well, I mean, to be honest, I don't even know how expensive it is. Those classes that what he was talking about.
Oh, on Comics Experience, it's a website. As a matter of fact, if you we flirted with it a few years ago. If you sign up for the classes through a link, Haven actually gets a couple bucks.
Oh, that's nice.
But the classes are not expensive through Comics Experience, and I was really pleased to hear that they've been worthwhile.
I would like to learn how to script a comic book. Because to me, when you write a story, even if if you don't write it linear and you just kind of piece it together, that's one thing. But I didn't realize how much actually goes into scripting a comic book until a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah, it's the fact that they kind of write an outline, maybe some detail, and then the guy draws it, and then they go in and do the dialogue afterwards. That's
Yeah.
just bizarre to me.
Okay. Here's an introduction to comic book writing bundle, $400. That is not bad. Maybe when I'm retired one day. Yeah, hey, Daniel, I'm the exact same way. I've got a couple ideas. I just need an artist. I've actually got a, believe it or not, and if you decide to go track it down one day, please forgive me. But I've got a short story that I self-published on Amazon a few years ago. And when let's put it like this. It's a good story. Everybody that read it really enjoyed it. It had a lot of positive reviews. But if somebody like Josh read it, it would probably cause him to rip his hair out. The punctuation errors and the misspellings. I did not know what I was doing. I literally just did it on the fly. And it was so awful. You would have thought, did he accidentally upload his rough draft? Is that what this is?
I could help you fix that, you know.
Yeah, I know, but this was one of those that just kind of happened.
It's not too late. It's electronic.
Actually, it is. So I messed up when I did it, and it kept wanting me to put a price in.
Yeah.
And I was like, this thing is like 5 pages. I mean, it'd take 15 minutes to read, if that, maybe 10 minutes, or 4 or 5 pages. Well, it kept forcing me to put a price in, and I just put in 99 cents. And then I did it for free for like the first 5 days. And everybody that was going, I think that ended up with like 75 or 80 downloads, which really and truly shocked me. I was not expecting that many. I was expecting like maybe 15 or 20, just friends. But it never would let me put the price to free. So I just turned around and made it free if you have Amazon Kindle.
Interesting.
So if you got Kindle, you can go track down Mark Allen Breedlove. I'll be the only one on there.
Oh, me and Blue Hell, yeah. Tony Fleeks and Tone Rodriguez are both super cool dudes. See if Tony Fleeks has heard anything about Mark Spears. Is it? That's a pretty good birthday present to yourself right there.
And happy early birthday.
Yes, indeed. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
You are still a babe in swaddling
May
clothes
the
compared to me.
candles on your cake burn like cities in your wake. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
We don't have a birthday thing on here. I was looking to see.
Well, it's actually a funny story there, Blue Hellion. We've had Mark Spears on several times. He's a local guy, and he's awesome. But apparently, when we had several people on, but especially Tony Fleeks, we brought up the topic of Mark Spears. And according to Mark Spears and his wife, I have not gone back to watch it, so I don't know. We went on for a bit, and Tony Fleeks was just like, "Oh my God, can we talk about something else? I don't want to talk about this one random dude I don't know." It was just funny. That's not creepy at all.
No, it's not.
That's like the kind of laughter that comes out of a yard sale Ouija board.
Let me tell you what, we're still on the lookout for a yard sale Ouija board. And if we ever find one, it's going to, after it's been played with thoroughly, it will end up on Nick Ellis's front porch.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes.
That's great. That's love
what
that.
he gets for not answering text messages.
Wow, answer your text messages, people. You do not want yard sale Ouija boards showing up on your front porch because hoodalolly, that would be creepy.
In fact,
let's talk some comics, man. We haven't talked comics.
Well, before we start talking comic books, just in case he ever sees this, there is one thing that I would like to put on the screen. Just for Nick Ellis, in case you ever see this, wherever you are, brother, somewhere in this world, I feel like I should be singing Bone Thugs and Harmony, Meet You at the Crossroads, because it's been so long. But just in case, Nick, any Saturday, I mean, it's right there. You can screenshot this, hit pause. I mean, there it is.
Oh, no. We wouldn't mess with you if we didn't love you, Nick.
My brother knows I love him. So this is what I did since we did not talk comics last week.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked comics, but we didn't talk comics. I do have some new stuff, but I also brought a couple of old ones that we did not really and truly get a chance to talk about. I know that you and I have, we mentioned these briefly last week when it was just the two of us, but Dan Waters has officially taken over on Nightwing with issue 119. And
second time in a row, big kudos to DC for just starting a new author, a new writer on the same numbering system and not just relaunching the book with a new number one.
Yep.
Same thing they did when Tom Taylor took over Nightwing. Same thing they did when Tom Taylor just took over Detective. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And I believe we also got a new artist. Dexter Soy is on this one.
Yeah.
The art is absolutely beautiful in it. I don't know. Matthew Posey, hold tight. I'm going to have you want to buy some comic books tonight.
That was his cue to leave. You can't tell him that.
Yeah, really. But I don't know if Dan Waters was channeling the Daredevil gods. I'm not sure, but there were definitely some elements in this book that felt like they could have been in Daredevil.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this was a really good read. And now Tom Taylor, his Nightwing run was great, but I'm really looking forward to this now. I mean, I was worried about Nightwing, but after this issue, I'm really not.
Oh, stick around. It's all good, man.
Yeah. Speaking of Tom Taylor, we talked about being worried if he was going to be able to do a darker side with Detective Comics.
Though this is the same dude who wrote Injustice. So
it is, but still, I mean, it's Detective Comics. Yeah, and he pulled it off. I mean, this was a great read. This was a creepy read.
It really was, but that's a good book.
We go from a great and creepy read to this was kind of weird.
Oh, that was totally weird.
Yep.
That whole first story. The second story I enjoyed a lot, but that first story was just like, this is all the reasons I don't like manga right here.
Yep. Rogue Exodus, issue 6, fantastic. I mean, we can't say enough good things. And I'm trying to get through these relatively quick so we can get to the newer stuff. One that when I first saw it come out or saw it in previews, I was like you. It's well, no. When I say it's detective. To me, Detective Comics is supposed to be darker and a little grittier than what we've really and truly seen from Tom Taylor in the past, in my mind. So that's why I say it that way. I mean, it's detective. You're supposed to. I wasn't expecting him to actually, be able to do this on Detective. But you and I had talked about it, about why is it we're already getting spinoffs and one shots when we hadn't even got the first issue yet. But this one shot for Devour it happened on High Street. Absolutely freakish issue. A very creepy issue with a twist ending that is actually kind of uncomfortable.
Kinda.
Yeah, kind of
extremely uncomfortable. But also
so good.
It continues. That's very much a modern Twilight Zone vibe.
Yes, it really is. The ending was 100% Twilight Zone.
Oh, it was so creepy.
Yeah, but I mean, great issue.
Twilight Zone with maybe a little bit of V thrown in. You know what I mean?
Now, I'm not going to talk much about this comic book because I absolutely loved this comic book, and I'm afraid that if I talk too much about it, I might tear up again because it got me.
That's got to be Wonder Woman 14. No, Redcoat 7. Okay.
Redcoat 7. Lord have mercy. Whew. That was rough.
All right, Mike. Yeah, let's go back to that. It happened on Hyde Street. First of all, Hyde Street #1 was amazing.
Yes.
Really sets up this whole Twilight Zone kind of a vibe. Very modern feel, but old-fashioned kind of horror in that regard. And I was kind of going, why are they doing a spinoff before the second issue even comes out? This is dumb. I was wrong. They know exactly what they're doing, and I need to shut my fool mouth. Because those guys are very, very, very good. They know what they're doing with comics, and this was a perfect spinoff featuring a character that I'm sure will show up in the regular Hyde Street series. But right now, it's a really interesting introduction to a part of that world and this whole careful what you wish for kind of a thing. Just really, really good. I have not read that yet. Have you read that yet, Alan?
Beneath the Trees.
It kind of came out a few months back and it hit really big, really hard. But it was hard for people to get. And I think the trade is out now.
I don't remember that one. I'll look it up here in a second. I don't really remember that one off the top of my head. I don't think I have read that.
Hey, Lisa, you need to come on the show and tell people why they should read that.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be tonight, but it can be if you want. But yeah, you should come on and tell people why they need to read this book.
So for those of y'all that don't read DC, but you might have read Absolute Power or All In, that is over with now, and we've gone back to our normal run in the titles. And I like what they did. All of the new issues that came out after All In happened, or after Absolute Power happened, you kind of have these types of covers. These are brand new story arcs. Now is the time to jump on these titles.
And they're all easy to make out because they all have these gorgeous covers by Daniel Sampier with the kind of the white background with the logo, and then just the single main character there. and they are wonderful.
Yeah, they are actually, they're very pretty covers. Green Arrow 17 picks up right where, Josh Williamson's writing it. It picks up right where it left off. Not right where it left off, but as far as the quality and everything, Green Arrow to me has been a sleeper hit this year for DC. He has pretty much come back, and it looks like he's about to take back over Queen Industries as running it. The book that I was really curious about to see how they were going to do it and what was going to happen with it was Superman 19.
Yep.
Yes, we do have Lois Lane as Wonder Woman. I'm sorry, Superwoman. I like the way that they did it. The art was gorgeous. And then the fact that in this issue, we literally have Superman and Superwoman facing off against Doomsday. It has a twist ending that I was not expecting. If you're wanting to give Superman a try, now is the time to definitely jump on Superman. I mean, just a great book.
And I'll tell you, I haven't been reading Superman, but for the first time in ages, I have been reading Action Comics, written by Mark Waid, and it is fantastic.
Have you picked this up?
I have not yet.
So you need to read it Saturday.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm saying it is let me make sure I'm about to tell you right. I want to make sure that I tell you the exact right moment. The very last page of the story, we have the big reveal, and you will be absolutely shocked at the big reveal. I sat there and stared at the page for a moment and was like, am I really and truly seeing what I think I'm seeing? I mean, and then when you read the words and everything, if this reveal does not hook you for the story to want to see what's fixing to happen next, nothing will. This was to me, this was a true shock ending.
Well, my curiosity is now piqued, that's for sure.
True shock ending on that book. Now, as far as the old Storefolio is concerned,
Storefolio.
Yeah, we'll hit some of these kind of quick.
We're not in any hurry. You go for it.
Well, there's a couple other books we need to talk about. Right off the bat, we had Batman issue 154.
Yep.
This right here is more of what I was expecting from Zdarsky on Batman.
I kind of got the feeling with this issue that editorial finally got back out of his way.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me, because it felt like they were like, well, we have to do this, and then we have to do this, then we have to do this. And he's like, can I get back to my Batman story, please?
And plus this issue was a little bit darker, it felt like. And what's the true issue number for it? 919. But I like the fact that Bruce Wayne felt like more of a character in this one than he has in some of the past issues.
Yes.
He felt more like his own character in it, especially when he was dealing with the protesters and all that. I thought that was really good, but the ending was kind of it was a twisted little ending to it. So it was really intriguing.
Yeah, Daniel, I think that I can't argue with you. I really, really enjoyed that first failsafe story that he did. I thought that was great. I thought he was well on his way. The second story felt kind of weird. And then it very much felt like editorial has been pushing, we're going to go this direction. Now we're going to go this direction. Now we're going to go that direction. And I feel like he hasn't had the free reign. And I think that's part and parcel of what happens when you go from Daredevil, who is an amazing character that's often treated as a B-list character at Marvel, to like the top of the heap A-list character at DC. I think editorial is going to be looking a bit harder. And so I think they've just been over his shoulder some. And this issue finally feels like he's back to doing the story he wants to do instead of the story that editorial told him to do.
Yeah, and then more than having to take a break for absolute power and everything else, that kind of, you can only do so much leading up to it. You can't go too deep and dark. I mean, you could, but still, you kind of got to keep it at more of a top level because you're fixing to have to take this break. So hopefully we'll see what happens next with the rest of it. Another one, I've been singing this book's praises, and I don't know why y'all are not buying it, but
I haven't seen that, Bill. I don't know. I'll have to look into that.
I don't know. Daredevil Annual #1. This is the way you do an annual.
Why did you say Daredevil?
I'm sorry, Green Arrow. I was thinking Daredevil.
I was like, this is a really weird story. I don't know where he's going with this.
Yeah, really. But this is the way you do an annual. It was a self-contained story. It was a good story. It's not a tie-in, you know, because that's my biggest gripe with Marvel annuals. It's like they're tying them into continuity stories now. This particular issue, Ollie is older and retired, and he is pretty much living on the island to take a break, except he's babysitting what is essentially all of his grandkids. And they're wanting a story, and you do have an older Ollie in it. They're wanting him, every story he tells them, you know, he's the ultimate good guy, he wins, blah, 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 blah. But they want the story about when he missed. They know there's a story somewhere when he missed. So he tells them that story. And not only did he miss, it was one of the unsolved cases of his entire career. And he literally spans this one villain, this one, you know, this series of cases, his entire career, until eventually, that is a good one. But eventually he figures it out by telling the story to his grandkids.
Okay, and that's totally awesome. I want to read that now. Well, I might have to borrow your copy because I don't think we have any left.
It was really good because he tells them, he goes, I've got to go. I know who it is now. I've got to go. And the grandkids are like, you're taking us with you. And he's like, no, your parents will kill me. And they're like, no, we never get to do anything. You're taking us with you. So on the last page, you do get the villain caught. I'm not going to give the villains away. But at the bottom of it, you get this really cool shot of an older Green Arrow, except all of his grandkids are with him, and they're all dressed up like Speedy from the 80s.
Oh, wow.
It was, I mean, really, I mean, just, this was just a good, fun issue to read.
Now, while we're talking Green Arrow for a minute, you can't talk Green Arrow without talking Black Canary. There is a limited series coming out called Black Canary Best of the Best.
Okay.
It's written by Tom King. And I was like, I've never been a real big Black Canary fan. The premise of this sounds stupid, but it's Tom King. I've really been digging what he's done, so I'll check it out. So I read a retailer preview of Black Canary Best of the Best #1, and I immediately turned around and increased our orders on that.
Yeah, I've been curious about that one.
The whole thing is centered around a MMA fight between Black Canary and Lady Shiva, like the greatest assassin in DC history, in one-on-one combat kind of thing. I've read the first 2 issues. They've made those available. If you like a story that is intensely character developed, character focused, following the motivation, and then you like the drama of a boxing match or an MMA fight or something where you genuinely have no idea how it's going to turn out, this is fantastic. It's so freaking good. I'm frustrated that it's so good because it by all rights it shouldn't be. I mean, it's just a bizarre collection of characters with a bizarre premise, and it's just executed so excellently well. Be on the lookout for that. The first issue comes out here pretty shortly. And like I said, I turned around immediately and increased my orders on that because it's a really solid book and it's really good. And I definitely want to see where it goes.
And how many issues is it?
I think it's 6.
Now, is it definitely 6, or is it going to be one of those where it
No,
started out
no,
definitely
this is
6?
not going to be turned into an ongoing. There's no way.
Okay.
It's not built for that.
Oh, one last thing. If you do read this Green Arrow 1, pay close attention to the last page. It is a very, very nice closing shot, and it literally tells you, without saying the words, well, I mean, hang on, let me verify that. No, it does say the words, but there's only 4 words on the last page other than credits, and it says the end and thank you. But the artwork and what they did, you're like, that is the perfect ending to his career as Green Arrow. You know how a couple of years ago we had that one Batman issue where he was older and in bed with Alzheimer's and dementia, and Catwoman was with him.
Yep.
That one annual, and how that was kind of the end of Batman.
Yeah.
You could pretty much consider this issue, this annual, is the final story of Green Arrow's career. It was very, very well done.
Awesome. I want to read that for sure.
Next up, and this was, if you've been reading DC Comics, these have all, there was nothing like shocking about this. There's no great revelation. It's been in the back, the secondary story of a bunch of their comics. And this is the AEW Origins.
Yep.
For those that are going to any con,
make sure you pull that back out for Blue Hellion now.
Yeah. But pick these up, and if you look at it, you now have the perfect book to get these people to sign if you see them at a con. And I know for a fact that Orange Cassidy, Britt Baker, and Darby Allin, all 3 of them do cons.
Yep.
I'm not sure about Swerve Strickland, Will Ospreay, or Tony Storm, but you've got the perfect piece of memorabilia to get them to sign now. Next up on my list, we had this is Revolution 9, issue 2 by Mark London. This is from beginning to end straight up action.
Yep.
I mean, just straight up action. There's just enough story there to satisfy the need for a story. But think of this as almost like an 80s action flick.
You're just saying that because you're a Tennessee fan, Matt. We know.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Next up,
we'll bring Phil Fulmer to the expo, or maybe Johnny Majors. How about that?
Maybe one of them Schulers.
I bet we could bring Butch Jones.
Yeah, Blue. I met him a couple of years ago also, and I mean, super nice guy. I mean, this was before Brawl Out and everything. Next book was kind of strange, kind of sad, dark and depressing, but really, really good. And that was Aliens versus Avengers, issue 2.
Oh, yeah, I told you the ending of that was going to punch you in the gut.
Yeah, that was, but at the same time, is there any other way that you'd want to see those 2 going out?
No.
And to be honest with you, we still don't know if that's how they really and truly went out.
That's true, but it sure doesn't look good.
No, and I hope they just leave it with those 2 characters that way, and we never know.
I get the feeling that's how it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way that it should be in my mind, at least. Next up, and I have been looking forward to this book. I really been wanting to check it out. Y'all know that, I mean, there's absolutely no love lost right here between me and the writer of this book. But this one kind of intrigued me a little bit. And when I read the first issue, it no longer intrigued me. It had me sold hook, line, and sinker. And that was Hour of the Wolf by Mark London.
Oh,
another Mad Cave.
Yep.
This is part of the whole Mad Cave underworld that they're doing. This was really, I was not expecting this.
I have to confess, I wasn't either.
That whole basically our main character, and I can't even think of his name right now because I read this a little while back.
Wolvenheart.
Do what?
You talking about
Wolvenheart?
Wolvenheart?
Yeah. That. The fact that from the way that it sounded to me, and correct me if I'm wrong if you took it a different way, but it sounds like every second of his life is lived within the same hour.
That's the feeling I got too. Yep.
But the painting coming to life, and then the way that the thing in the painting opened up its mouth. I don't want the YouTube censors to hit us too hard, but the way it opened up its mouth and its eye, and good Lord, I was not expecting this from Mark London, and this was great. I like the way that it felt like we had two different stories going on at the same time, and then they merged together. I thought that was brilliant. This was just a fun read for me. My only thing about this book is I wish it had come out around Halloween.
Yeah. I mean, it's not too far from Halloween, but
yeah, but still, I wish it'd come out around October.
Roy Thomas didn't have a line. How is that possible?
Yeah, really.
For the guy that created Wolverine, really?
Mm-hmm. He might have had a little something to do with Daredevil also.
Yeah, no, don't give me that garbage. The editor does not get points for character creation. He didn't create Wolverine.
Next up on my list, and then we'll get into some. Well, oh crap, I still got a couple. We've got The Crow Dead Time issue 2.
Yeah, what have you thought about that?
Keep in mind it is The Crow, so it's supposed to be a little weird.
Yeah.
This one has definitely been different because our Crow has awakened, from the looks of it, a couple of 100 years later. And after reading this issue, have you read this issue?
No, I haven't read that one yet.
A couple of the bikers that he is going after, one of them has made a comment about remembering basically certain aspects of a previous life.
Huh.
So for whatever reason, I think his name is it Joseph or Jacob or Joshua, or I can't remember what his name was. But our Crow, for whatever reason, he did not get his vengeance, like Eric Draven did almost, within a year or two later. He's getting his vengeance upon their reincarnated souls.
Well, that hardly seems fair.
It hardly seems fair, but at the same time, it's such a twist in the concept. I kind of can't stop reading now.
Okay, that's fair.
Because it's one of those that you're like, okay, so they're now, and keep in mind, these are not good people to begin with at all. But right. Now they're having to pay for the sins of a past life.
Yep.
That to this one guy, he does have a couple of these memories, but they're almost like a dream to him. So I'm kind of hoping that it's, and I don't know how many issues it's supposed to run. I'm kind of hoping at some point that they do, let's just say, for lack of a better way to put it, their previous lives, they completely and totally open up to them. And that everybody understands that basically we've got these Old West outlaws in a modern day city going against an Indian. And I mean, I don't know, it's a really cool concept, but it's at the same time, it is kind of hard to follow. You got to stick with it. I think the payoff is going to be there, but we'll know in a few more issues. Next up, let's do this one right quick. I loved this from beginning to end. It is definitely, I'm going to have to say that out of the books in this line right now, to me, might be the strongest contender for the best one in the line. It had me all manners of cussing, and that's awesome. And I friggin' love that, and the concepts and the twists, and then everything else. I was completely and totally tore up by Absolute Superman issue number 1.
Oh yeah, we definitely need to talk about that.
So I never thought I would say this, but the way Krypton is written in this book, and the way they've described it, and the way they've described Jor-El and Laura and all that, and then the fact that Clark was actually, say, maybe 10 on Krypton, he wasn't a baby. I would like to see a mini-series, an Absolute Krypton mini-series. That's the type of Krypton I would like to read about.
Well, this Krypton's definitely much more interesting to me. But the fact that it's dark, but it's not depressing, right? It's just like, this is what this world looks like. This is where it's going. And then the change in status of his family versus what we've always been used to.
Yep.
Is very different. And I just really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot.
I like the fact that his suit, he could talk to his suit and his suit could talk back to him.
I was trying to explain to somebody at the store the other day, because I was like, picture a cross between Venom and Skeets.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what his suit is, right?
And to me, it was weird that his suit was basically telling him he was not completely powered. It's like he is holding himself back from being completely powered up from the sun's radiation.
Yep.
And if that's the case, he's already, Superman. But if that's the case, and he is, what's he going to be like when he's fully powered? Matt, this issue is awesome.
It really is so very, very good.
Yeah, he did not grow up on Earth, so he's still trying to learn about Earth, period.
Okay, Skeets, Mike, if you're familiar with the character of Booster Gold, he's got this little robot guy that flies around with him, and it's like a flying camera and satellite dish and computer and everything all in one. But he is also, because Booster Gold's not exactly the brightest in the galaxy, right? He wants to do heroic things, but he wants to make sure that he gets the likes for it and all that stuff. Well, Skeets is the little computer guy that tells him, hey, maybe you should stop, I don't know, that bad guy instead of standing here posing over this guy who doesn't matter. Skeets is the one that keeps him on track and tells him what he needs to be doing. And that's kind of what the suit kind of plays a role a little bit like that. It's not exactly like that, but it's a little bit like that.
Yeah, and Skeets can also at times be Booster Gold's conscious.
Oh, very much so, yes.
Yeah. Matt, I don't want to spoil it for you, but there is a ton to unpack in this one issue.
So much.
There's literally a couple of pages that you only get one page of a scene, and it leaves you with so many questions. I will tell you this much: you will see Lois Lane in this issue, and when she shows up, your reaction more than likely is going to be my reaction, which was, oh, what? So yeah, really, really great stuff on this one. This was Jason Aaron wrote this.
Yep.
And Rafa Sandoval's art is gorgeous.
Beautiful.
In this book. I mean, absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. Yes, that's a great thing to say. That's 100% accurate.
Yeah. One, and I'm not ruining anything for you on this when I say this, Matt, but one page that left me with a ton of questions was the page with Kent Farm.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that right there, that one page could have been, oh, Bill, I did not know that Jason Aaron is an Alabama guy.
You didn't know that?
No, I did not know
Yeah, he's
that.
from Jasper.
Oh, good Lord Almighty.
Yeah,
He's not an
something good
Alabama
did
guy.
come
He's a
out of
redneck.
Jasper.
He's a redneck.
If you go back and read Southern Bastards and some of his other stuff, that's as Alabama as it gets.
I've never read that book.
You ought to. You would like it. You probably know some of those people.
Probably. Might be even kin to a couple of them.
I would say yeah, for sure on that.
Now, that was, you know how we always do things a week behind. Matthew Posey, you need to get caught up because we could talk about this one right here for a while.
We absolutely could, and it's well worth it because, like I said, you guys know I'm gonna come back to a regular size
come back up
here. I mean, I've said it a million times. You guys know it. I'm not a big DC guy. I didn't grow up as a big DC guy. I was always much more of a Marvel guy who liked Batman. I mean, there's a lot of us that are like that. But the past several years, and I've read some DC off and on over the years, but it's always just very off and on. And there's so many characters at DC that I'm sure if they came out from Marvel, they would be equally stupid. But I look at the elongated man, like why does this person exist? And yet, to say somebody's favorite character, so I don't want to bash them, right? And you get caught up in the mythos that changes and all these things between like Hawkman and Hawkgirl and all this kind of stuff. And it just gets, DC has a lot of things that just frustrate me. But Superman was always a character I like, but I typically only like him when he's paired with Batman because it's like this whole deal with light and shadow, right? You need the hope and the optimism and the by the book, and then you need it works better when it has the shadow that shows the other side of things.
Yeah, they definitely balance each other out.
Yeah. But then you get to this absolute universe, which again, absolutely eat my hat on. I thought absolute Batman was just going to be dumb. I've enjoyed it immensely. But absolute Superman, that first issue feels like it does so much. It establishes so much. And then it's on top of establishing all the stuff that it establishes about the world, about two worlds, about the absolute Earth and the absolute Krypton, but about the characters and all of these things. On top of establishing all that, it's a darn good story. And then it's got little mysteries in there where you're going like, because you know what it's supposed to be. You know who people are supposed to be, but then they're not. And it's different. And you want to say, well, all right, what's happening here? Part of that same allure happens on, say, the new G.I. Joe, for example, because it's characters you know for the most part, but they're in situations that are different. They have backgrounds that are different, and they make the situation. So you're trying to look at it through two different lenses. And for absolute Superman, it's so very, very good. It accomplishes so much with the first issue. If you haven't read it, we still have copies available on the shelf. I strongly, strongly advise that you pick it up. If you say, well, I'm not a Superman guy, it doesn't matter. If you like good stories and good comics, this is a phenomenal place to start.
And here's the thing about it. You read Absolute Superman, you'll be a Superman guy after you read the first issue. Because it's, in whether it's action or whether it's just the main Superman title, Superman has always been, for lack of a better way to describe that comic book, it's always been very bright and colorful and, like a better tomorrow, like a better world and everything.
It's hope and optimism.
Yeah, and this book is not like that. It's dark. It's gritty. It's it takes place in this particular story, I believe, takes place in Africa.
I'm pretty sure that you got one in there, Matt. But if not, we'll make sure you do.
Yeah, and Matt, and to give you an idea of the art when we talk about Rafa Sandoval, this is just one page. the entire comic book looks like this. I mean,
HR has spoken.
absolutely. Yeah, it's you don't have to know anything about Superman. This could literally be just saying Superman's never existed. This book is perfect for setting this character up.
And yeah, you aren't kidding. The interior art is exquisite.
I just tore my bag. That's all right. I got about 5,000 of them at home. Now we go from dark and gritty to dark and grittier, which was absolute Batman issue 2.
Well, hang on. Look at this.
Oh.
Even Mike liked Absolute Superman. Y'all don't know how big a thing that is. If Mike liked Absolute Superman, you will too. It just trust us when we say it is fan freaking tastic.
Yeah, I don't know. I am kind of curious as to what sales were like on that book across the board.
Very, very, very good.
And it rightfully so. Absolutely deserves to be very good.
That's an interesting analogy there, Blue Hellion.
Yeah.
Kind of, except he's not evil in Absolute Superman, not by any means. He's every bit the Clark Kent that you know, the good guy who's standing up for people who can't stand up for themselves. All of that. It's just in a darker world, and he is coming from a very different place. He's a different age. He's very young, and he doesn't feel like he has that. He feels like the outgoing, happy attitude that he got from being raised as a good Midwestern farm boy by the Kents. Like he doesn't have that, so he's got a bit of anxiety. He has this whole, I just want to wear my hoodie. I want to disappear into the crowd. Like he doesn't want to be seen, kind of a guy, and it's really interesting to see.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how it plays out. That number one, what did the Kents actually have to do with his raising? Because we don't know that in this one.
Yep.
And number two, how much of Jor-El and Laura's influence are going to be felt on his life, because he was older when they got him away from Krypton.
Yeah, he wasn't just a tiny wee babe who didn't know anything.
And the way this book makes it sound is he's been running his entire life.
Yep.
So I mean, there's a ton to unpack with this one book, and I mean, it was absolutely fantastic.
That's actually one of those interesting points you just made, because you said it's like he's been running his entire life, and that's true. But the thing that makes it really interesting is if he would just keep his head down, nobody would bother him. He could hide as much as he wanted to, but he cannot abide watching injustice being done, and so he steps in and helps. He tries to do it on the down low, right? But his efforts are growing increasingly unsuccessful at going unnoticed, right?
And he's apparently developing there's a legend about him too.
Yeah, but he has to help people, and that's what's bringing him the attention he doesn't want. But he still has to do it. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only way we can pretty much talk about it further. We're going to end up spoiling it for Matt.
I'm sure that this is going to happen at some point. But I hope it's a good long ways off. I hope that these guys get to establish themselves in their worlds and just go for a long time before we get to any of that. I really hope that's the case. It is kind of almost like the old Hulk TV show, which I could just do.
Yeah.
I can hear it now. He's on the run, and he could stay hidden if he would just stop helping people, but he can't do it.
Bill, I am thoroughly enjoying Werewolf by Night. The only thing that I do not like about it, and I'm going to be vocal about this until they stop, Marvel needs to drop this whole red band crap. There's
Well,
nothing red band about this
they
book at
either need
all.
to drop it because they're not doing it, or they need to actually make it a red band book. And so far, they have not done that.
Yeah, they have not made a true red band book on any level. As far as this last issue where Elsa takes him to the Savage Land, where he thinks he's going to be, it'll be better there, and the fact that everything just gets worse, I thought that was great. One thing that, and I know this is just going to be kind of a, maybe it's the hopeless romantic that lives inside of me somewhere. I really and truly want Elsa and Jack Russell together.
Yep.
They're supposed to be together and not just hook up every once in a while. They should be together, period.
I agree.
And I really, there's going to come a day I'm going to end up buying all of those Elsa Bloodstones that are graded and on the wall. I know it's going to happen. It's just I'm trying to put that day off because every once in a while I do like having my money in my wallet.
I like having your money in my wallet.
I know you do. But next up, Absolute Batman, issue number 2. This Batman is really cool, but I love this Alfred.
I told you before the first issue came out, you were going to love Absolute Alfred.
This Alfred is awesome.
I mean, just think about with Bruce's family not being rich, right? They don't have a butler. So his role was going to have to inherently be different, right?
Yep.
And we know the Alfred Pennyworth of old has a background and some interesting capabilities and things that have always kind of gone under the radar a little bit. We know that that's the case. So when you take that information and you say, well, how do you build a new Alfred Pennyworth in this universe? Well, they hit the nail on the head with that. This Alfred is amazing.
Yeah, the only thing that I did not like about this issue, and it's a personal preference, I was not too big on the Batmobile.
That's not a Batmobile. That's a construction tower on wheels.
But see, at the same time, it makes sense for it for this Batman because
it doesn't. Because where can you hide that?
Well, you hide it in the construction site.
How? The thing is the size of a building.
I don't know.
It literally has a staircase up the front of it.
But that's why he's the genius and we're not.
I think that one was a step too far. I think that was ludicrous.
It was, but I did like the we'll take my car. Where is it? You're in it. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I agree with that. We'll be getting to that next.
Yeah, and this, I'm telling you, Absolute Batman, the continuity Batman has got nothing on Absolute Batman when it comes to brutality.
Oh my God, no. That very first fight there.
Oh, the one where he threw the little acid bomb into the water?
Yeah. I was reading, I'm like, what? Oh my God. It's like these people don't need all their feet and toes.
Yeah, that was one of those. I was reading it and I read those words and I was like, what did that's bad.
That's real bad.
That's bad.
Like, you get it. Okay, Batman's going to punch a guy in the face and break his nose or break his jaw. He's going to break a guy's arm. But Batman trapping these guys in a bunch of water and then turning that water into hydrochloric acid, not enough to kill them, but enough to, like, burn off all extraneous dangly bits. I don't know. That's pretty hardcore.
The poker game.
That's where I was going to go to. One of the things that he's doing here, and you kind of alluded to it earlier with the differences, like, because Superman is usually, Clark Kent is usually out in public, hanging with his friends, being surrounded by people, right? This Superman is a loner who is hiding. Batman is usually in the regular universe, usually a bit of a loner with his handful of people that he surrounds himself with. This Batman, this Bruce Wayne, we're seeing that this Bruce Wayne has got a bunch of friends that he's apparently had since childhood. And in that way, it kind of felt like the Gotham TV show, right? But he's had all these friends since childhood, and they get together and they play poker.
And what gets me about it is who these childhood friends are.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody who's not reading this. If you're not reading it, you're a fool. But the empty chair, and then who it kind of alluded to who that was, and then you really and truly find out who the other childhood friend was at the end of the issue.
Yep.
Or is.
Yep.
And you're like, you know what? That, to me, that right there went back to that one issue of Batman where Bruce Wayne was in an alternate universe and he saw her, and in his mind he thought, it does not matter who I am or what universe I'm in, I will always love her.
Yep.
And I thought, for that little bit of a scene that we saw when they were kids at the end of it, that was
just the tiniest little smidgen of a scene too. I mean, it's literally a page.
Yeah, I mean, literally a page, but that was the first thing
on one page for that matter.
But that, I'm looking at that panel right now. That was the first thing I thought of. I mean, it was literally, no matter what universe or where I'm at, I will always love her. I thought, I mean, this was just and I know this one literally just came out yesterday, and we're probably spoiled some things for some folks.
We told them there's a poker game. I mean, I don't think that's spoiling things.
Yeah.
And the hydrochloric acid thing is the very first thing that happens in the book.
Yeah, and the whole Batmobile. We'll be able to work on the Batmobile. You know what? I'm about to go all in spoiler on y'all. If you don't want,
there have been promo pictures released of this. If you're showing the Batmobile, so that's not.
No, I'm not showing the Batmobile. I'm showing my favorite panel in the book is that last panel. The line, did you lose something? And then you get the name, and then you see the last panel. I thought that was brilliant. But my favorite panel was when he burned the construction site, and that's what it looked like when he burned it. I thought that was just great.
I don't remember if the Batmobile loses a wheel, but I know Robin laid an egg.
Yep.
Speaking of which, have you seen the new book that's coming out? Because DC's been doing those Christmas series. And they've got a Batman book called Robin Laid an Egg, I believe. It's something like that.
Yeah, honestly, I wish they wouldn't have done it. I wish we would have gotten Silent Night too.
Well, that's coming too.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
That was so much fun to read.
No, that's also happening.
The whole thing of the heroes meeting Superman and meeting Santa Claus, and the second they meet him, they're little kids again. And he's telling them their addresses and stuff that they grew. I just thought that was great. That was just a fun read.
That was a super fun read, and they are doing that again. They also have a book that has a scratch and sniff cover, but for some reason it's not Robin Laid an Egg, which bothers me. It feels like it should be.
And tell me more about the scratch and sniff cover, and then
I forget which book it is, but they have one that's got a scratch and sniff cover. They did one earlier in the year that was like the spring book, and it was the April book, APE Real. Yeah. And it had bananas on the cover. And it smelled like bananas.
Oh, it wasn't the Monkey King thing, was it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it was just some goobery, like spring break focus kind of book.
So, first off, before I get into this, I did hold up 2 books.
You did.
They are the same book. They're the same title.
We both need to go to bless me, Stan Lee, for I have sinned. I am an absolute hypocrite.
Yeah. I sit there and I tell y'all, don't fall for the multiple covers. Don't do this. Don't do that. And I had walked in the door and I was I'm only picking up one cover. And this is the cover that I'm picking up right here. It's the main cover. It's good enough for me. I know. And I almost bought that Cobra one also. But then,
if you're saying these are the same, well, one of them is a foil cover and one of them.
yeah, yeah, because I almost bought the foil and everything else. Keep going. Let's see what else you got in there. Yep.
This one right here, man. The Liber Mayo, the Reflection and Cobra Commander's mask there with Dukes coming in to punch him.
That is so great.
It's gorgeous.
Now, that one Baroness cover that you held up, hold that up again. I was looking for that cover, and I did not see it, but that's okay because I came home with this cover.
You got the Brett Booth one, right? Oh, you got the Jenny Frison cover. Okay.
Yep. So, yeah, this was the cover that if I was going to buy a second cover, this was the one that was going to be it. If you had it, and you had it, and this was the only copy, and it went home with me, and that's why you got that text message that you got last night and how I started it off so harshly. There's certain words that we can't say on the YouTubes, and I used one of them words in that text message.
Yeah, that Cobra Commander cover is amazing.
Yeah, it really is. I think there was only 2 copies of that up there, I think. Matt, when you read this, this is a different Baroness.
Yeah. I think Matt might have been reading the Duke and Destro and those books, maybe, so he might know that already. But yes, definitely a different Baroness.
To me, Baroness has always been nothing more than Destro's girlfriend. I don't know why. That's just the way I viewed her as a kid. That was the way I've always viewed her. I mean, she's a good character and everything, and she has her moments, but I just always viewed her as just Destro's girlfriend. But this Baroness, oh no, she ain't nobody's girlfriend.
No.
Now, I've got to ask, and now this is where we're going spoilers. Wait a minute. I even had a banner made for this. I think I made a banner for this.
You did?
Yeah, here we go. Did you put what her and Stalker said to each other into Google Translate?
I did not.
I had to do it because she made her little comment, and then he made his comment. I normally don't care about that stuff. I just keep going, but it was the reaction that she had to his comment that I wanted to know what he said. So I did put it into Google Translate, and it did legit translate.
What did they say?
Well, basically, hers was just I can't remember exactly what it was she said. It wasn't much, but his basically translated from Russian, because it was in Russian, basically translated, shut your mouth or I'll kick your ass, then I'll drag you home to your mommy and daddy to show them what type of failure you truly are.
Wow.
That's what Stalker said to her.
Wow.
And I
think I still got that cover at the shop, Matt. I'm not 100%, but I think so. We'll double check.
Matt, it was up there yesterday when I was up there.
I'll text Tom right now to put that in your box for you.
But yeah, that's literally what it translated to. He's threatening to beat her up and take her home to her mommy and daddy.
That's hysterical.
But here's the thing about it.
Yes, we do have some of the blank covers. I got to tell you, they solicited a G.I. Joe blank cover and a Cobra blank cover, and I thought that was pretty smart. And I got 5 of each. And then to my great disappointment, the only difference between them is there's either the G.I. Joe star or the Cobra emblem in corner box.
Yep.
That's it. I was like, that's terrible.
Stupid question, and I think I missed him somewhere along the way. And then he shows up and was a complete and total scene stealer there for just a moment. Who is this?
You talking about Risk?
Is that who it is?
He's a new character.
Is it Risk?
Yes.
He's
a
very
new
cool
character. That's his first appearance.
I do need a moment alone. Everybody else needs to tune me out for just a moment. I need a moment alone with you, Mr. Joshua Williamson. Don't you ever end a comic book like this again. I'm not going to tolerate this on any level. Joshua Williamson needs to answer straight to me about this and why this was done this way.
Yeah. It was purposefully done, obviously. And it was done to make a statement, obviously.
Huge statement.
It made a huge statement, and it tells you the stakes of the game. Right?
But is he dead?
There's no way he's not.
But at the same time, we did not see him die.
Oh, we saw him die. We haven't seen his dead body.
No,
but we
I did
saw
not
him
see
die.
him die until I see the flat line on the monitor.
Sadly, no, not yet. I talked to Jeremy yesterday, and he said he has been meaning to get out there and has not had a chance, so he is running behind. Let us know what we owe you for that, by the way, Mike.
Yes, please. Here's my thing on it. That particular character has never been one of my favorite characters, but at the same time, he's been a character that's always been there, and I've liked him.
Yes.
Why couldn't they have done it to somebody else?
Because what you just described is exactly the kind of character you want to do that to. Everybody knows, everybody likes, but nobody loves or is crazy about, so you can afford it. And it has the emotional impact. For anybody who doesn't know, someone dies in this book.
No, he doesn't. We have not seen him dead yet. I'm not going to accept this from you, Josh.
I bet you think that Butch and Sundance survived the end of that movie too.
They did. Just like Shane just waved by and rode off into the sunset.
Oh Lord.
That Shane reference, that you youngins are not going to get that.
No. Come back, Shane, come back. But no, a character dies, and for all that Alan is saying they don't, that character is dead, and there ain't no coming back from that. There's more holes in that character than there is in Swiss cheese.
We better attend the funeral. I'm not going to believe it until the funeral is attended. And even then, the funeral could be fake.
You're just not going to buy it, are you?
I'm not accepting this. Honestly, you know what? Like I said, it just came out yesterday, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody. So I'm going to put this in our private chat that nobody else can see. There's only one way that it could have been worse, and that is if it had happened to this character right here that I just typed in.
Oh, that would have been way worse. Yeah, I agree.
If it would have happened to that character, and that, once again, that's another one of those, was never my favorite character, but was always there.
Well, we look forward to seeing you, Mike.
So,
yeah,
but
there's definitely some denial going on here for sure. But let's just talk about the book overall, right? Because I read on one of the forums somebody who said, "Is that Nick Ellis?"
No, and we don't need to. It's a news notification. Apparently, this happened yesterday, but it's not something we should be talking about here.
No, we just mute those.
Yeah,
nobody needs to read the news.
It was something that happened locally.
let's talk about the book itself, right? And what it's got to do. It has to establish the GI Joe team, and this is the first time we see the team all together doing a thing. Um, it has to good ear.
Yes, sir, it was.
Good ear, yes, sir. Uh, yeah, that shouldn't be too hard. That's going to be a heck of a game. Um, I gotta tell you, I'm torn on that one, Matt Posey. I know who I want to root for, and I know who I ought to root for, and they're not the same out of that. But anyway, I'm kind of rooting for total chaos right now in the SEC because that's where we are on the verge of total chaos, and I really hope we see it because we haven't had it in a long time. It's just been dominated by a couple of teams.
Introducing, and I know we're getting sidetracked, but introducing Texas and Oklahoma and the 12-team playoff system, for whatever reason, has thrown the SEC in complete and total disarray, and they are cannibalizing each other, and I love it.
Oh, I'm enjoying it too. It's fun to watch the absolute insanity of it all. But anyway, getting back to GI Joe, it has to establish the team, show how they work together. It has to introduce this new character of Risk, who we've never seen before, and it has to then have a credible threat that requires the team to deploy to go deal with the threat. It's asking a lot for one issue with old characters in a new setting and a new world with new takes on those old characters. And it's really interesting. And I thought it achieved that for the most part pretty darn well. One special, it's like a tiny detail, but one I enjoyed. Uh, when they go up and they're fighting that group of Vipers,
Mm-hmm.
did you notice that the Vipers weren't just cannon fodder? The Vipers are people you don't want to mess with.
Not only that, but that lead Viper could probably give Bane a run for his money.
Well, I think that's Mercer.
Oh, you think that's Mercer?
I think so, but I'm not sure.
Was an absolute beast.
Yeah, he was a monster. I think that's Mercer. But even so, these Vipers are not stormtroopers. They're not just there to be shiny and look bad and then miss every shot they take. These are people you don't want to mess with, and I thought that was pretty great. Now, I don't know that that's true.
Well,
it might be true, but I don't know that that's true.
Blue, my go-to one when all the Bama fans get cranked up at work, which, believe it or not, there is a ton of Bama fans at work, but not a ton of people that actually went to Alabama. My favorite one is that it's better to scream War Eagle from the suburbs than Roll Tide from the trailer park. And that usually shuts them down.
How?
Mm-hmm.
That's hardcore, dude.
Yeah. You know what an Alabama fan and a maggot has in common, don't you?
Oh, my Lord.
They can both feast on a dead bear's carcass for 20 years.
How? Ow. That is hardcore. My older brother met Bear Bryant, a guy that we knew went to church with us. Played. He was one of Bear Bryant's last recruits, right?
Yeah.
And he played on the offensive line. And he took my brother down with him when he went down to sign his letter of intent and all that stuff. And so my brother got to meet Bear Bryant. And my brother told Bear Bryant an Alabama-Auburn joke.
Oh, and he probably loved it.
He did. He thought it was great. But no, that was pretty funny. Normally, this goes the other direction, and I've said it in years past. Who's the best football team in the state of Tennessee? Alabama. This year, the best football team in the state of Alabama is Vanderbilt
Yep.
because they beat both Alabama and Auburn. It's ridiculous.
Well, Tommy Tuberville is the best Alabama coach there ever was
That's not wrong.
because he ran everybody off to the point where they had to go get a real coach and pay real money for once.
Yep. When are they going to do that?
We could talk about this all night long. Back to the comic book.
We could. But what did you think of how G.I. Joe accomplished their objectives there?
I liked the little story that the Colonel gave Duke.
Yeah, I thought that was good too. Yeah,
I enjoyed that. It kind of gave more of a personal touch. I like this Duke a whole lot more. This Duke actually feels like a character that is a true leader.
And not a cardboard cutout of one. Yes, I agree. Yeah,
because and just the Duke that we grew up with, he always felt like just the poster boy.
Yep.
He was the poster boy for G.I. Joe. This Duke is a leader. And he's a warrior. There's no doubt about that. He's a legit warrior. He wants to fight. I am more interested with what's going to happen between this version of Duke and this new version of Cobra Commander that we have. Because this version of Cobra Commander is extremely manipulative.
Yes.
He is highly intelligent.
And Duke is a bit of a hothead.
Absolutely ruthless.
Yes.
So it's got the makings of a good book. This right here is so petty, but I thought it was such a minor detail. And at first I was like, that is stupid. Why are they putting it in there? But then, as soon as I thought that, I was like, because they're creating individuals, they're showing the individuality, and that was a brilliant move putting it in there. And that was CoverGirl dyeing her hair.
Yes.
It was just the little nuances of this book made it so good.
I like the fact that they looked at all the female characters in G.I. Joe and they were like, who is somebody that never really got their due as to what they should have been? And because CoverGirl was never, if you read her file card, she's covert ops. She's certified on tanks and all kinds of stuff. She's awesome. And she never got her due. And it's nice to finally see her getting her due. Did you see the Brett Booth cover, by the way?
No, I did not.
The one with CoverGirl?
Oh, yes, that cover that's it's actually on the counter, on the stand.
I believe so, yeah.
No, I saw it, but I didn't pay a ton of attention to it.
Look on the back of your comic, your number one there, because you can see because it's got all the covers on the back. Look on the back and see it.
Yeah,
that's a great cover. And I know you like Brett Booth.
I love Brett Booth's art, but to be honest with you, I was too busy and too worried about finding that issue right there.
Fair enough.
I mean, look at that mole on her face. The mole sets it off.
You just like this number.
You know what? I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to deny it. But overall, I enjoyed the book. I thought it was a great setup. It was an extremely solid first issue. I wished we would have had a little more Chameleon in it.
Well, some Chameleon, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been nice because I feel like Chameleon and CoverGirl should really and truly be what Scarlet and Baroness was. You know, Scarlet, to me, in my mind, Scarlet and Baroness were the arch enemies. They were the two that should be going against each other. I think that CoverGirl and Chameleon should be the two that's going against each other. That's what I would like to see.
I don't think we can go wrong either way, honestly. I did think it was interesting how so much of the focus was on G.I. Joe and we didn't see a whole lot of Cobra. You saw some, but not a ton. But then right away, the tie to the Energon universe was immediate, right? Their first mission, you've got to go and get this alien artifact. You need to get this before the bad guys can get it. So it's a race to this artifact. Uh, I thought that was really well done. Really enjoyed it.
And if y'all do pick up this cover, it is a wraparound cover. We got the Joes on the front, and then we got Cobra on the back.
And they're standing on a fallen transformer.
Yep.
That's a question I've never asked Alan. It's a good question.
Believe it or not, I do own several of the runs, but I don't buy them, a ton of them, just because Gene Simmons has enough of my money as is. I literally, as far as marketing is concerned, no one will ever market themselves the way Kiss has done successfully throughout the years. As far as the band is concerned, they do have some really good stories with some of the Kiss comics. I loved Kiss versus Zombies. I thought that was great. There were a couple that were hit or miss. It was like they were just trying to put some stuff out. But I was a legit Kiss fan. I mean, I literally grew up jumping. I mean, I'll be 51 next month. I literally grew up jumping up and down on my bed singing Hooligan off of the Love Gun album when I was a kid. I've always been a Kiss fan. I think that was probably my first true love when it come to music was Kiss.
Now, do you have the old Kiss comic that had their blood mixed into the ink?
No, that was just, for whatever reason, that was not something that I really and truly wanted to track down. I don't go after a ton of memorabilia, period. Honestly, the memorabilia that I will go spend money on and buy, and a lot of people do not know this about me, I am a huge baseball fan. I love St. Louis Cardinals baseball. And I have actually gone to auctions before just because they had a small piece of memorabilia that was St. Louis Cardinals. My garage at home, one wall of the garage is nothing but pictures from like the 1947 World Series team, Busch Stadium 2 just before they tore it down, aerial photos of the old Busch Stadium 1, different players. I love baseball memorabilia. I just never got into Kiss memorabilia for some reason, even though I love the band. Interesting little tidbit that no one knew.
Yeah, that's interesting. I did not know that you were that big on buying the baseball memorabilia there.
Yeah, like I said, I've gone to auctions just because I've got a 1927. I believe it was actually a game day giveaway, and I believe it was 1927. I can't remember which game it was. I'd have to look it up. But it is a wooden baseball bat about this long, and it was a World Series giveaway that was St. Louis Cardinals versus Detroit Tigers. And when I saw that advertised at a auction that was locally, it was found in a local collection, even my wife was like, just go. And all she said just go to was like a cloud that was shaped like me, because I straight cartoon character out of the house trying to get to it. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But as far as bad as it sounds, with as much comic books as we do read and everything, and yeah, I mean, we'll sit there and I do everything I can not to trash any titles. I think I've really and truly only lost it on 2 titles in the entire however long we've been doing this. But after reading this one, I was actually excited for the future of this version of G.I. Joe. It's really, as bad as this sounds, we are actually at a great time to be a G.I. Joe fan.
Oh, this is a phenomenal time to be a G.I. Joe fan for sure.
I definitely want to see more Risk. I think he stole, because when he kind of strolls in and does what he does, I'm like, who's that?
Oh, yeah, that dude is he's interesting. He feels kind of like um, John Wick to me a little bit. Like if you gave John Wick a badge.
Yeah. But he had this air about him of when you first see him, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? What's he going to do? You know, I mean, he was definitely a character that you were drawn to. He actually owns all 70 of those balls from 1998, and he put them on tour at one point. He spent a pretty penny on that.
Yes, he did.
And if I could ever just push my nose up against the glass of his house and look at those baseballs, I would be happy and content. I don't even have to go inside to see them. Just let me get close enough to look through the window. I am wondering what's going to happen with Baroness.
I'm more interested in how they are going to keep G.I. Joe relevant in a world where G.I. Joe is mixed with Transformers and the Void Rivals universe, because the minute you mix humans with ginormous robots, the humans become so much cannon fodder, so much goop
But see, I
to be
think
stomped on, and it's hard to make the humans relevant in that context. So how they juggle that is going to be real interesting to me.
as far as, and I mean, I could be looking at this entirely the wrong way. This is one of those where I reserve the right to be wrong, and I probably am wrong in my line of thinking. I don't think that them being relevant is even on the table right now as far as could they not be relevant, for the simple fact that the Energon weapons have leveled the playing field.
Yeah, but G.I. Joe doesn't have them.
It's only a matter of time. I mean, it's only a matter of time. I mean, somebody's going to drop one on the battlefield. You know,
then where are they going to get the Energon to power them?
I think it would be just like Cobra. They got to go search for it.
Yeah, but then it becomes a search for this thing, and it becomes about Energon and not about the characters. And I think that's a pitfall that would be very easy to fall into. I don't know. Historically, the reason that Transformers and G.I. Joe crossovers have not worked is because the 6 foot tall humans can't realistically fight against an army of 20 foot tall or 30 foot tall super powerful robots. The one case where I thought it was really well done was in the John Reiber and Jay Lee G.I. Joe Transformers book that was set in like an alternate world civil or World War II era.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of set in the 1940s. So they looked like appropriate era vehicles, tanks and Spitfire airplanes and stuff like that. And it worked really well in that instance, but that was just a limited series, right? Sustaining that over a long period, I don't know. It's going to be challenging, I think. I think they have to use the Transformers sparingly within the context of G.I. Joe.
Well, when they what was that one? Was it the first Michael Bay movie, Transformers movie? Yeah, they figured out that a certain it was a certain type of round that they used, almost like a grenade launcher, that those worked effectively against them. I mean, all it'll take is just them developing some type of weapon. I mean, it's Americans, it's G.I. Joe. They'll definitely develop a weapon and they'll do it quick.
I'm not saying they won't, but that makes for a pretty boring story over a long story arc. It works in a one-shot movie. It makes for a boring story over a long period of time.
And it's like, Blue says in one of his comments, they keep them separate until it's time to work together.
Oh, good Lord, no! Please, for the love of all that's holy, no, not that, no.
Oh yeah.
Now, that was a great movie, but I don't want my G.I. Joes being nothing but guys running around in robots.
We need a 150-foot tall robot version of Mooneyham Scarlet. Please, yes, and thank you.
Okay, that wouldn't be so bad.
Mm-hmm.
If that's where we're going, that's okay.
Blue, I have to disagree with you. We do not need GoBots. We need Mask. Mask is the only ones that can pull this off.
And I would like to reiterate my frustration with the fact that the Mask toys were built on a different scale than the 3 3/4-inch G.I. Joe figures, rendering their vehicles useless for playing with G.I. Joes. Because I would have done that crossover all day long, except they were built on that stupid 3-inch scale instead of the 3 3/4. Never mind. Off my soapbox.
That was done on purpose, and it was.
Oh, I know it was. But Lord have mercy, that was frustrating. I really am. Since the book just came out yesterday, I don't want to spoil it for people by revealing the details, and they're so important to talk about, though. So I'm so frustrated. But yeah,
I know that I said this comment in the past, and you told me what the plan was on it. I'd made a comment about I was wanting, we had Scarlet. I wanted to hurry up and see, Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes and Scarlet. I mean, that's like peanut butter and jelly. You got to have them together. But they said that they were going to wait before they introduced Snake Eyes.
Yep.
After reading this, I think that's the right decision. It's not time for Snake Eyes yet. It's really not.
Agreed.
And Scarlet and
Jinx.
Not Jinx. It was somebody else that was in her series. Snow Job?
Yes.
Yeah. They're not in this book yet either. No. It's like they're not a part of the team yet. So there's still a team to be put together. There's still more to come. And that was one of the things that I enjoyed most about this, because you could have turned the page at any moment and Scarlet and Snow Job and Jinx could have been standing there, but they weren't.
You're not wrong.
Matthew Posey is 100% correct. Use an EMP and we're done.
That would be hilarious.
I tell you,
that would just be hysterical.
It's gonna be a lost. You know what? This is not spoiling anything. Only a true G.I. Joe nerd will enjoy this panel. But
the Weather Dominator?
No, not Weather Dominator. The panel where they're kind of sitting there at the table, and Rock and Roll was like, "What are you working on over there?" And Clutch is sitting there sketching out his plans for the vamp. I was like, "That's awesome! I love that. Thank you very much for putting that in the book. That was great."
That was a great little Easter egg. I like that.
Yeah. So yeah, there's so much. Ray Park dressed as Snake Eyes at a con.
I would geek out a little bit.
I would too, but I would probably geek out harder once he grabbed the toy lightsabers and started playing with them. Have you seen that video?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that's when I would probably go berserk. He did not get the credit that he deserved for Darth Maul.
That's because they very stupidly killed off Darth Maul.
Yep.
That was foolish.
Um. Yeah, it is hard to talk about G.I. Joe without spoiling G.I. Joe.
I assume you mean number 1, Matt. And I also assume by that exclamation point that you also found it awesome.
Okay, we talked about this once before. Absolute Batman, you've read all three: Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. You ranked them as literally Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, correct?
I did, yes.
See, I think that Absolute Superman is, I don't know. I mean, it might depend on how I feel at that particular moment, but I think it's better than Absolute Batman.
I thought it was a very close second, and I thought Absolute Wonder Woman was a pretty distant third. Um,
That doesn't come out till next week, right?
what?
Absolute Wonder Woman.
I'm talking about number 1. You've
Yeah.
already That's already come out.
When did Absolute Wonder Woman come out?
Like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
How did I miss that?
I have no idea. You haven't read it?
No, I've not read Absolute Wonder Woman.
Yeah, it came out like 3 weeks ago.
No, it did not.
Yes, it did.
Are there any copies left?
No.
Well, that's not fair.
No, there definitely are not. I even had to put mine in somebody else's box because somebody missed it. So no, I don't even have a copy now.
Yeah, I'll be damned. It come out October 23rd.
Yeah.
How dare y'all get up there and buy them comic books before I get a chance? But
Rude.
You didn't get the Baroness cover before me, and that's all that matters.
That's true.
And now I don't feel bad what I said about y'all in that text message to Josh last night.
I put Absolute Wonder Woman a very distant third. Mike didn't love it either. Like the premise is interesting, but it doesn't do the same kind of world building or any of that as they do in Absolute Batman and Absolute Superman. And I don't love the art either. The same guy just did the art in that Batman Dark Patterns #1 that I posted on Sunday, saying, "Holy smokes, you need to read this book." His art is very well suited to that book, but I did not think it was well suited to Wonder Woman. And that could partially just be because I've been really spoiled by Daniel Sampier's art on Wonder Woman. But they also haven't really explored the fact that Absolute Wonder Woman, and I'm guessing here because I haven't seen anything that definitively says this, but I think given that she's raised in hell instead of on Themyscira, I believe she's a witch, like a straight up witch, like a battle witch or something, which would be interesting. But they haven't really explored that at all. The story the story wasn't interesting to me. I didn't think that what they did was different enough to make it exciting. It just felt like an Elseworlds Wonder Woman story is what it felt like, and not even a great one at that. I don't know. Oh, he's talking Absolute Batman #1. Oh yeah. And let's just say that's not the worst thing that he does to people.
Oh no, it's definitely not.
He does a lot worse.
I do love that if you look at them and you try to compare them side by side, Absolute Batman dwarfs Absolute Superman.
Yeah, there's several people who do not like that.
Really?
Yeah, they don't like it, but I thought it was fine. I didn't have a problem with it. So that's what I'm saying. I agree. I didn't like the art. It definitely felt like drawing a baby is not everybody's strong suit. And some panels kind of looked like a baby, and some panels kind of looked like a cartoon of a baby that was like not quite by the South Park guys, but not too far off. Um, I don't know. I enjoy the concept of it more than I enjoyed the book itself, and I'm hoping that it's just a slow burn, and the execution is going to catch up. But it didn't hit hard right out of the gate like Absolute Batman and Absolute Superman did, for sure. And I haven't seen anybody argue otherwise. So yeah, that's where that is. And in March, they're coming out with an Absolute Green Lantern, and an Absolute Martian Manhunter, and I forget the third one.
I saw something about that. Because I'm kind of curious, does Absolute Martian Manhunter really and truly need his own book?
I would absolutely say no, but I'm willing to give him a shot and see if they can prove me wrong. Absolute Flash, thank you, Bill. We'll see, but yeah, it's an interesting world that they're creating here in this dark side created Absolute universe. We'll see how it goes.
And then they've got, beyond that, there's 2 other books that are coming, but they have not announced them yet.
Right.
I mean, I'll give them a try and everything just to kind of see what's going on. But it's going to be extremely hard to match the energy of Batman and Superman.
Agreed.
Because they come out of the gate swinging. Number one, they come out of the gate swinging for the fences with Absolute Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, with Absolute Batman. And then they turn around and, I don't know, I haven't read Absolute Wonder Woman, even though it does sound like they dropped the ball a little bit on that one. But Absolute Superman that ended the ball game. I mean, that was great. So
kind of like Tony the Tiger.
Yeah, I'm okay. Thank you. I'll take that compliment. I mean, he's a Gen X hero. But yeah, I'm 100%. Looking at the list now. Jeff Lemire writing Absolute Flash. I'm a little intrigued. Al Ewing is writing Absolute Green Lantern.
It depends on which Al Ewing we get, right? Do we get Immortal Hulk Al Ewing or do we get Venom Al Ewing? I want Immortal Hulk Al Ewing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. And I'm wondering who the next 2 are going to be after that they have not announced.
You got to wonder if one of them is Aquaman. Because they're essentially building the Justice League.
But do we need an Absolute Universe Justice League?
No, not at this point. Maybe in a few years. Yeah, Absolute Alfred is the bomb, 100%.
And I'm wondering how they're going to do that, because he's obviously taken a liking to Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously developed a respect for him. So will he help fund this version's Bruce Wayne's fight? Will Alfred be there this version, if you're reading it, this makes perfect sense. If you're not reading it, you're going to be like, what are you talking about? Will this Alfred train this Bruce Wayne? I mean, there's a lot of
I 100% see that happening. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of directions they can go with this Alfred and Bruce for, a long time, a couple of years, and never even come near an Absolute Justice League.
Or any kind of a crossover.
Yeah. I mean, there could be like rumors and whispers of Superman or Wonder Woman, but this could truly be I know they're not going to, but it could be a standalone book with just those 2 characters.
for a long time. Yeah. And I like it that way. I think it would be a great book to do that with. But no, on the whole, uh, definitely 2 home runs. We're arguing over which one went further outside the field of play, right? Which one went way up into the stands versus which one cleared the stadium entirely. Between Absolute Batman and Absolute Superman, and I think Absolute Wonder Woman certainly suffers by comparison from those, but I think Absolute Wonder Woman's like a solid double. you know, uh, maybe a single even, but it's a base hit. It's a good story. I'm interested in the idea of it and where it's going to go. It's just that first issue did not hit hard right out of the gate like Absolute Batman and Absolute Superman did.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, it's one of those that, like I said, it really depends on what mood you wake up in, which day as to which book is better between those two.
That's true. That's true. That's not inaccurate.
I'm sitting here and look. I noticed that the next releases do not come out until March 5th, or March is when Flash, Green Lantern, and Martian Manhunter comes out.
That's correct. Yeah. They're basically spacing it 6 months out.
I've never been a big Martian Manhunter fan.
No, me neither. That could all change. This is my perfect opportunity to pick it up and say, okay, I don't know anything about the original Martian Manhunter, but I like this guy. That's entirely possible. I'm willing to give it a shot, which is more than I can say of any other Martian Manhunter book ever.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. For anybody who is watching, Mark Spears' Monsters #2 comes out this coming week. So it's on the invoice for next Wednesday. So that will be on hand before Thanksgiving. And that's awesome. We did just get a handful of copies of the Borderlands comics exclusive cover for Mark Spears Monsters #1, which is the homage to Amazing Spider-Man 129, the first appearance of Punisher. Yeah, that yellow cover where he's standing there with the gun, and then you see the sight is on Spider-Man. It's the hunter, and in the sight is the werewolf. It's pretty great. But yes, so I got a handful of copies of that in for all the folks that are looking for some of the great covers in first prints. We still have a lot of first prints or second print covers with the Halloween cover, which I love, the trick-or-treating cover. I thought that was brilliant. And #2 comes out next week, and I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, and I definitely want that cover with the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful cover.
Yes, it is. So, excitement. And we're going to see if we can't maybe get Mark to come on next week. I don't know if we can or not, but if we can, we talk about it a little bit. It'd be pretty great. I'm excited for that. But we are coming up on it. Anything you want to say to folks before we let them go for the night?
Get out to your local comic shop. If you're local to us, get out to Haven, snatch up Absolute Superman #1, and tell me what y'all think about it. Like I said, we know that this G.I. Joe 1 is going to sell. We do. People are going to enjoy it. This is one of those that we're going to be in for the long haul on that one. I'm really curious to see what people think about Absolute Superman, though.
Such a good book.
Yeah,
I will tell you, it's already selling for $15 a pop.
Yeah, I heard a bunch of them. Even the Absolute Wonder Woman's going for more than cover, isn't it?
Oh, quite a bit more, yeah. We've still got plenty of Absolute Superman on the wall at the shop at cover price. So come and get it. Fantastic book. But hey, you guys have a great night. Read more comics, and then come on and let's talk about them. That's half the fun is talking about comics with you guys. So get on here. Let's do that. And I guess we will catch you guys next week, or we'll see you at the shop on Saturday. And I've already texted Tom to make sure we get you that Cobra Commander cover for G.I. Joe #1.
And if y'all swing by the shop and you pick up Absolute Superman and G.I. Joe #1, you are
certified badass.
I just like working that in for some reason.
I know you do.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, you guys have a great night. We'll catch y'all later.